Hey YouTube, this is Jaden from Team Shadow Strike coming at you with another deck profile from another team member. This is my good friend Zane. He played in the tournament today. This wasn't the deck that he used, but this is a deck that he's had a lot of success with. Causes a lot of aggravation, mainly because it's one of the few decks that can run 12 critical. But it's a deck that you just don't see that much of anymore because of the way the game's evolving. And it's he's going to show you his Grandblue deck. So here's Zaney.
Alright, mateys. Alright. Well, I'm looking very Irish and puffy hair today, but anyway. Alright, so Grandblue, I play all the blue clans and stuff. This one is my more competitive deck until the Bermuda set comes out, and then, well, come on, I'll play that deck. Okay. So for the Vanguard, I think really the best choice for a selective deck would be Captain Night Kid, which he's my favorite Vanguard, and everybody knows why. So in the deck, I am running, in fact, 4 criticals of each type. I used to have only one of Hades Stearman in the deck, but I didn't care for it much because sometimes I would get it and sometimes it wouldn't go off, but mainly it was just so I could do a drop zone ride up to the very top, but that requires a lot of resources, and sometimes, depending on what build you're going, it doesn't really go that well. I obviously run 4 heals. I mean, you could run other things, but I don't see a reason why to. Probably draw triggers would be the only other thing I would consider. Sand's nice, but most of you guys die anyway, so you can just bring it back later for new attacks. I run 4 Shabby the Ghosties because, gosh dang it, they're just so lovely. I would rather control what's going into my drop zone and get out what I really need to bring back out later. Because, gosh dang it, it's that useful. Then I run, this is not what I used to run. I'm running 4 now of Skeletal Colossus. I'm going the Cocytus right chain, obviously. But I used to have only 3 of these in the deck because I felt they weren't really needed. The grade 1's not as important as perhaps, the grade 2, but any of them work, really. My builds are usually not that solid. This one is a little bit more solid, just so y'all can check this out. I've got 3 Samurai Spirits because they're counterblasts. You can bring them out pretty easily, but and I have a few cards in the deck that help with counterblast too. Besides, as an early thing to drop into drop zone, it's not a terrible choice if you already have a good hand. I also have 2 Deadly Nightmares because you don't use your Soul Blast too often depending on what build you got, unless you have Basskirk, which not many people run him anymore, and I can see why, but he's got a really cool ability. But 2 Night Mists are all you really need. I would ride them every time if I can.
Well, it's because if you're going to play Basskirk, you kind of have to manipulate the whole deck to fit him because if you're going to run the Mega Blast, you can't play Samurai realistically.
Not really, yeah.
So
crazy Samurais are not going to work because bloody Davy Jones screws up everything. I only own 1 Perfect Guard. It's in here. I would change it if I could, and I probably will. But in my opinion, this is probably the best looking Perfect Guard.
One of the top 3.
Look at the color scheme. Yeah.
One of the top 3. If you have any more Grandblue Perfects, PM us and let us know. He's looking for more.
I would appreciate that. Yeah.
So
definitely.
I think they're cheap. So if you have them, please let me know.
Bad. They're like 10 or so bucks for me.
So,
all right. But yeah, next I run one of the Dragon Spirit because with Cocytus, you can just bring him back from the grave anyway, and again, that comes down to select the mulligan. You can just, not mulligan, but milling. You can just grab this guy if you really want to, save him in the drop zone, or guard with him and then bring him back later. But he could be a game changer because he's doing 26 after limit break and stuff, Cocytus. And, it's a 6K. Really, you only need 6K is like bare minimum you want in a deck because who knows? Somebody could be playing a ride chain, and as long as you can hit, it's fine, or at least make them do 10K shield.
Especially with cross ride numbers, it helps you hit those. It forces when your opponent plays the End or Majesty or some other deck that can produce a 12K or high standing Vanguard at all times.
It's quite unpleasant.
They can't just drop 5K shields in your face and blow your attacks off like they're nothing.
So just having a solid booster would be fine. I mean, I used to drop triggers a lot all the time, but it was mainly with my Bermuda deck, but that was just because they could benefit from it. This deck, it's really not good to do it. But because it's Grandblue, you can just retire them to cycle up and up and up to the point where you need them. So you could, but you really don't want to. So him, good to have, especially if you're running the build. I like him. He's an ace in the hole, really, especially for cross rides and stuff. I run 4 beautiful Chef Thanatoses. 3-star chef. Because Thanatoshi, what's his name? Cocytus, yeah. No, Petro is what his name is, sorry. Yeah, so, yeah, Cocytus uses Counterblast a lot, obviously. These guys are good to have back in the field, but even if they're just regular plated or if it's your Vanguard stuff, you're going to use them at some point. Especially since he already requires a Counterblast. Riding this wouldn't be a terrible choice, because usually by your second turn, they're not really going to guard that often. I mean, they could, but why bother? And then
plus also, whenever you're using any kind of damage flipper, your opponent has to decide, do I want him to let him to have his resources back, or do I just want to take the damage? And sometimes letting them have their counterblast back can actually be worse.
Yeah, because some decks it really works much better if they do have it. I mean, number grapplers are going to get their counterblast anyway, but this is the only thing that really ensures that Grandblue is going to get theirs back. And depending on what your build is, you're going to need it. If you want to do Fast Kirk and you don't really want to give up using Counterblast completely, then yeah, these are definitely an option for you right there. I would always run him personally. I think he's just cool looking too, and he's got a nice quote, so why not? I run 1 of Captain Night Mist because Counterblast, he's Samurai Spirit pretty much, but you can get him back. He's mainly for if you don't have a soul anymore, because you probably used it up on your nightmares or your deadly spirits or whatever.
You soulless heathens.
Yes, indeed. And I like it. I run 2 deadly spirits because, again, the deck doesn't soul blast that much. Really, other than your ride, your Rough Seas Banshees are your best chance of having a big soul. And sometimes you want to save your hand, but if you're going to save any shield, probably not this one because you want to play it and draw more cards. It has a problem drawing, I'll be honest with you, especially when you don't have, perfect cards or anything like that. That benefits it. I run now 4 Skeletal Demon World Knights. They're lovely little buggers. I mean, they're 9Ks, and after you ride them, and if you don't ride them, oh well, they're still 9Ks on your rear guard. That's still good enough, and it's great, too. They can counterblast you retire for other units, perhaps, if you really want.
Can also help you save yourself if you're grade locked.
Yeah. I mean,
many purposes.
It's got a lot of uses, and especially when you have many chappies in the deck, because you can just drop early on. You can just drop the chappie and get the Cocytus into the grave and just be ready for this. Mill a card from your hand, superior ride, in some sense, I guess. And then we come down to the main thing. Ice Prison Necromancer Cocytus, beautiful avatar. He is only 3 of in my deck because I only have 3 of them, but you don't need too many either, because again, he uses up 2 counterblast when you place him on the Vanguard. You don't get to do that too often. I mean, N can do it a lot, but they usually have a lot of hand size too, so they can make up for it or have Viscosity and make up the rest of their damage. And he's my favorite out of the Grandblue stuff so far, because
we're waiting to see the break ride for this deck.
Yeah, we're hoping it's going to be good. I'm imagining it's something like, get the extra 10K as normal, and maybe return a grade 3, 2, 1, and maybe a 0 from the drop zone. That would be awesome.
Or maybe Bushroad's going to be a dickhead and bring Nubatama back and bury the Grandblue.
Yeah, I've heard mention of that, and I really don't want that, no.
Bushroad, please don't.
Please, we would really...
Unless that means you're going to take Goki and Nagisa off the show. Then that's okay. Because Nagisa, I think I speak for everyone in the world. We want to punch that little...
Right in the face.
Right in the face.
Or in the veg, either way, but she's too young for that.
Yeah.
Might get arrested for that because you might pop something. Anyway.
Well, I think we'd get arrested if we punched her in the face.
Well, I mean, it's a cartoon. We can get rid of it.
It's a cartoon. You can get away with anything.
Any problem in a cartoon? Erase.
Well, hell, Bugs Bunny blew up Daffy about every other week, so...
If that's legal, then God forbid we kill off some bloody Nagisa.
Yeah.
Right. But anyway, I like Goki. Sometimes I wear the headband here. I was going to have it, but I didn't bring it today. It's that Panda. Oh well. But yeah, 3 Thanatos because he's the 5K when you have limit break. Usually if you're not... I mean, usually you can thin yourself out to only having 4 damage, or even earlier you can keep a low amount of damage with Chappie, but as soon as you get the 4, he's a 15 on his own. Plus, many of the other, all the other rear guards are either 6K or 7K. So that's doing 21 to 22.
Which is solid numbers.
Yeah, I mean, 22 handles blaster, match or blaster, and 21 handles ride chains, and just normal runs too.
Yeah.
And if you get the Dragon Spirit back in the deck, it's perfectly fine at that point. Then we have the other special grade 3s that I like. We have 2 Dragon Undead Skull Dragons. These are really good. I mean, with a 7K rear guard, this played on the field will instantly become a 20K column because whenever they attack, doesn't matter what they're attacking, doesn't matter if it's Vanguard or rear guard, you're getting an extra 3K. He's powerful. You can call him from the hand. The only downside is at the end of the turn, he retires, but you can get him right back for retiring a grade 2 with a counterblast. So that's where Petro comes in handy too, not only to do the hit and get a damage back, but to retire him later and then get back the dragons. You only need really 1 or 2. I usually run one, but it's nice to have in hand too to just top deck and play down and maybe do some damage. You never know.
At least by himself, he can also hit cross rides.
Yeah. I mean, he's good enough as it is. I mean, it doesn't work on Vanguard, granted, but if all goes well, you won't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
That's what the point of the milling is for. Then here's a guy I run more of all the time. I usually run 2 of them. Since I had to change the deck recently, it's now lowered. But it's Death Seeker Thanatos. He's one of my favorite cards for Grandblue because when you hit it with him, he'll counterblast, retire him, grab out a new guy from your drop zone, and play him back out. Or play the new guy back out, except him. So
and standing too.
Yeah. So you could go either just normal 10K or let's say boosted with a 7K. Get that down, counterblast, retire him. You brought out him for free basically for the same counterblast, and you got an attack in too. So when he's on the field, another 13K, you don't even have to worry about not having a booster anymore. You can run stands if you want to. I haven't seen it done though. And then lastly, we have when all goes not according to plan. Monster Frank.
A card out of set 1 will always save us.
Yes, exactly. He's just cool in general because it's a Frankenstein. No big deal. Child Frank is actually Monster Frank, just young. I know the picture and the picture with him with his dad looks like him, but it's actually just his dad.
And also, it's kind of creepy.
It's a little weird.
Yeah, I mean, if that was my dad, I'd probably go overboard. No pun intended.
Stare at him. See what you did there. Now, so what he can do is from the drop zone during an act, you can counterblast 3, ride him if you're a grade 2. Now, it's a bummer because you can't do it over grade 1s, but normally you can't do that anyway, and plus set 1 didn't really plan on anything like that to happen.
Yeah.
The superior ride for Aleph, is that what his name is?
Aleph, yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't even come out till set 2.
Yeah, they weren't really expecting this kind of stuff to happen.
Yeah.
To the point of Blonde Ezel, perhaps.
Yeah, Blonde Ezel is amazing.
I love Blonde Ezel personally, too. Yeah, he's so cool.
So, anyway, guys, this has been Zane here talking with us about his Grandblue deck. Let's see how much time we have. We don't have any more time, but we're going to post another quick video, so be sure to check that out. It's about a new upcoming thing that me and Zane are going to throw together. We hope you guys will enjoy very much. So, Zane, thanks for coming on and sharing us with your Grandblues. Please leave in the comment section there your comments about the deck and hit the subscribe button for us. And be sure to check out the video that will follow this one because it will be something you don't want to miss. See you guys later.